Hi, my name is Tim Stevenson with Decent Garage. Decent Garage is a YouTube channel and all across other social media platforms, and I work on classic diesel trucks, specifically the 12-valve Cummins platform. I've been doing YouTube for about 6 years now, ever since COVID came upon us, and started a YouTube channel at that point to kind of document the build of some of my main diesel truck that I drive. And since then it has grown legs, and I have quite a few of them at this point and really have a passion for building these trucks. For the first 5 years I did this out of my garage in a suburban neighborhood in a third bay of a garage so my wife could still park in the garage, and that's why it was called Decent Garage. Outgrew that, not necessarily because I wanted to move to something bigger, but because I wanted to work on more projects at one time. The reason I liked working out of the garage was so that I could show the everyday person that you can do a lot of stuff just in a garage space. As I mentioned, I love diesel trucks. I love the older mechanical diesel trucks. I got into diesel engines about 15 years ago when I was in graduate school and needed to move my family across the country. It was cheaper to buy an old diesel truck and tow a trailer across the country than it was to rent a U-Haul, and so that's what I did. And that kind of started my passion for these trucks and learning about them, and I would read on the forums every night about these diesel trucks, and YouTube was just starting to become a thing, but most everything I learned was from reading these forums. And it really created a passion and this knowledge base around these trucks. And soon it became kind of a wealth of knowledge for the community of these trucks, and people wanted me to start sharing that knowledge, which is why I eventually started the YouTube channel, to share that knowledge and share some of my passion with these trucks. Another unique thing about me and my channel is that I'm not a formally trained mechanic. I really have no mentorship or training or certification in mechanicking. Self-taught, I learned it, like I said, by reading a lot on the internet and watching YouTube videos. And that's actually helped me quite a bit. And I know there's kind of the stigma of a YouTube mechanic, but in my mind, it's much better than it was decades ago when you didn't have those resources. By trade, I'm actually a physical therapist. I'm in the medical profession. I teach in a physical therapy program. I practice as a physical therapist. That really sets me apart because I'm not mechanicking full-time. I have a full-time job. I have 5 kids and a wife, and I have a lot of things pulling my attention elsewhere. And so being able to work in the shop is kind of a privilege and something that I don't take lightly because I don't have a lot of time to take away from my other things. And so when I do it, I really focus on what I want to do and the enjoyment I get out of that. And I think that passion comes across on the camera. I joke that I'm probably the only mechanic on YouTube that you'll see that has 2 doctoral degrees. Not saying that to brag, but I would rather be in the shop wrenching than doing what I've done to earn my doctoral degrees. And and it's a much bigger badge of honor to build these trucks than to have those degrees hanging on my wall. Now my passion has grown. Currently I have 3 bays in my shop, and my goal is to have at least 2 of those bays with a project being worked on at all times. Hopefully having 3 projects going at once. Recently I've built some really cool trucks. I've got my main truck that I still love, and I have a lot of people offer to buy it, and I'll never sell it just because it has so much sentimental value. But I recently built a truck that was featured in SEMA 2025, and a month later actually took it down to Burbank, California, and filmed with Leno on Leno's garage, and he drove the truck. He absolutely loved it. It's a really cool build because it looks stock when you just look at it, but anyone who knows this platform, the first generation Dodge Cummins trucks, when they start really looking at it, you see how modified it really is. And so that's the goal with that build, was to make a really stock appearing truck, but a very capable and updated version of the truck. And then I've got other versions of these Dodge trucks, and now I'm venturing into getting into other platforms, especially Fords, and putting those Cummins diesel motors into those trucks. But like I said, I just like to have a project going at all times. I like learning. I like going through the frustrations of, for lack of a better term, not really knowing what I'm doing, but just figuring it out along the way. That's kind of what I love doing, and I think that's what my audience likes about my channel, is seeing me fumble through a few things and figure it out so they can learn from my mistakes. So the main truck on my channel is referred to as the OG Crew Cab. And it's a beautiful truck, and it is the most sentimental truck to me. This is the truck I bought about 15 years ago. But when I bought it, it was not a four-door crew cab truck. It was an extended cab truck. It was a one owner, grandpa owned truck, and I absolutely loved the paint job. I loved everything about it, except my wife and I started having kids. Currently have 5 kids, and in a truck with that size of a cab, it just wasn't going to work, and I wasn't willing to sell the truck. So I took the truck apart, found a crew cab body, kind of meshed the 2 trucks together, and now I have room for all the family in my truck, and it's the truck I absolutely love because of that, because it has grown with my family. And it's a platform that I'm always updating. Currently it's around 600 horsepower, 1,200 foot-pounds of torque, compound turbos, 6-speed manual transmission. I just rebuilt the engine and it's not back into the truck yet. Updated suspension, updated interior. It's a comfortable truck, but it's not a top-of-the-line, top-dollar truck, and that's what I love about it. Another recent truck that I've worked on is known on the channel as Fat and Sassy, and it is a 1997 Dodge 1-ton dually extended cab. And it's actually kind of as the kids would say these days, it's actually kind of a clapped-out truck. It's got its quirks, it's got its issues, but it is a solid truck. I just did some major maintenance on the engine and resealed a lot of things. Still has a lot of things that I need to work on it. For being just an old work truck, it's a fun truck to drive. It's a fun truck to just be able to throw around and tow trailers with and not worry too much about keeping it nice. The paint job's not perfect, obviously. It's a truck that someone previous to me kind of meshed together. It's not an original 4-door cab. It's not an original manual transmission, so it wasn't done probably what I would say up to my standards, but it still is a really fun truck, and as I work on it more and more and use it more and more, I update it to my liking. So that's Fat and Sassy, and that's kind of the tow rig for many of the projects that I pull home and take to shows. Another truck I built is referred to as the ultimate American truck build. And this is a truck I actually built for an active duty Air Force officer. And he contacted me. He had a very clean first-gen Dodge truck, but he wanted it updated. He wanted it to be more powerful, reliable, and comfortable. And those were the goals. And so I completely tore it down, did a frame-off restoration, upgraded the suspension to a 3-link coilover suspension, the rear suspension upgraded to longer leaf springs, upgraded all the brakes to larger disc brakes in all 4 corners, Hydro Boost brake system, compound turbo, P-pump 12-valve setup with a 6-speed manual transmission, and it is a beast. It is at 660 horsepower and 1,560 foot-pounds of torque. It is an absolute monster. It looks like a show truck, but it is a work truck. It's built to haul trailers, to haul his GTL all around the country to car shows and concourses, and be able to trust that he's going to get to where he needs to go in an old truck. I get asked a lot about why my channel is called Decent Garage. Like, do I just do shoddy work, just kind of get stuff done? And the answer to that question is no, that's not the reason I call it decent. And many of my followers on the channel can attest to the fact that I do quite high quality work. But the reason I call it decent is sometimes done is better than perfect. I'd rather have something done and not be perfect and be able to use it and be able to live the experience of using it than have it not be done waiting for it to be perfect and never be able to experience that. So a lot of the stuff I do on the channel, yeah, there's things I could do to make things better or to go the extra mile, but sometimes I draw the line and say, you know what, we're going to call this good and we're just going to finish it up and use it as is. And again, that standard is still quite high, but I think that's pretty inspiring to a lot of people that work on projects on their own, whether that's automotive or other niches in DIY type spaces. And hopefully that's something you relate to as well. My relationship with Kenda stemmed starting a couple years ago, actually. Being here in Utah in the Rocky Mountains, I had a classic dirt bike, a Honda XR 400, which is a beast of a bike if you know dirt bikes. And I loved Kenda tires on that dirt bike. I loved how they performed, but I also loved the price. And so I ran Kenda tires, and in the dirt bike community, they're a pretty well-known brand for the dirt bike tires. So currently on the OG crew cab, like I said, I'm going to be putting the Kenda KLEVER RTs in the 35-inch with the red lettered sidewall on that truck. On the Ultimate American Truck build, I've got the Kenda KLEVER RTs in the 33-inch. And on Fat and Sassy, I've got the Kenda KLEVER AT2, and I just pulled off the standard composition AT2 and put on the HD composition. From here on out, all the trucks that I do build, I plan on putting on the Kenda line tires. We're going to try and diversify which ones we put on which trucks, and hopefully maybe develop some different styles of tires that may benefit you as well if you own a truck and want a different style tire. I know some of the older classic trucks have more of the skinny tires that are taller, and so maybe we'll work on developing some of that type of niche for some of the other trucks. What I've loved about working with Kenda is their openness to feedback and their openness to hearing my point of view from the customer standpoint and making changes based on that. One of the big differences between the standard AT2 tire and the AT2 HD tire is the composition of the rubber is slightly different, but also the sidewalls have been beefed up quite a bit. And again, that's really to help make a sturdier tire to be able to handle more load. And more load for a longer distance. As you drive, your tires get hot, and so to be able to tow something across the country, the standard composition may work for doing this, but it's going to wear faster because the standard way it's composed may not hold up to some of those forces for such a long period of time. It'll hold up fine for daily use, but for loading a 1-ton truck with 20,000 pounds on the trailer, having that extra beef or meat in the sidewalls and having that stronger, denser composition of the rubber really helps it hold up to some of that force that's put down through the tires through a loaded trailer for long trips. So if you're looking for tires for a truck or an off-road rig and you've got the Toyos on your list, you've got Falcons, you've got Milestars, Kenda tires should definitely be on your list, and you should definitely be asking your dealer about these tires. For the price point, for their durability, for their ride quality, I am super impressed, and this is a heavy competitor to all those other companies. And personally, that's who I've chosen, and I've been very satisfied with that choice. If there's anything you want to see with these tires, definitely check out Kenda's website, Kenda's YouTube channel, or come over to my channel and ask me. And I love collaborating with them and working with their engineers, and we'll see what we can come up with to try and get you answers for any of the questions or concerns that you may have about these tires. I'm Tim Stevenson with Decent Garage. Remember, sometimes good is better than perfect. We'll see you guys in the next one.